So Greenvale Energy, I know, and I've spoken to a lot of shareholders that know the company quite well over the last sort of 24 hours. But what I am going to do with this presentation is keep it relatively high level. Our booth is conveniently straight out this left-hand side door. So if you want to dive into any of the detail, please come and see us. Myself and the chairman are there, happy to talk through any questions, anything you want to dive into more detail on, because again, I will just sort of go through the wave tops of the presentation today. I'm also always running over time, so I am going to try and go through it pretty quickly. Okay, so strategic highlights, and I think I'm not alone in this. You know, as a exploration company, one of the things that's really important, I believe, and the board believes, is to make sure we've got diversification. And what we've done in Greenvale is we've got diversification across commodities, but also project stages. And to me, that's really important. So with projects in different jurisdictions, at different stages, different commodity focuses, it allows us to always have something to be doing, always keeping ourselves busy, always having news to present to market, keeping shareholders engaged. Some of our projects we've had for quite some time, and they've got significant value if we can unlock them, but they don't generate a lot of news flow. And this is where the move to uranium from an exploration point of view has been a really great pivot for Greenvale over the last 12 months. As you'll see, a lot of our news and most of the things we are doing is our uranium exploration. Doesn't mean that there isn't work happening in the background on the other projects, but that's the thing that's keeping us really busy at the moment. So from a corporate overview perspective, one of the things to really note, and I think is really important from a shareholder perspective, is the alignment we have with our board. So Neil Biddle, our chairman, is the largest shareholder. Leo Khoury, one of our NEDs, he's the third largest shareholder. So the board are very much aligned with shareholders in terms of creating value. The register is pretty tight in terms of the top 20. If we take that to sort of the top 30, top 40, they control about 60% of it. So we've got a great supportive base of shareholders that have been with the company for quite some time. As I mentioned, board and management, Neil Biddle, most of you will probably know Neil, founding director of Pilbara Minerals, where he obviously had fantastic success, created a lot of value for shareholders. Myself, I've only been with the company for about 4 months now. I've spent a lot of time in resources, principally in lithium, but the last 4 years, definitely in the sort of early stage exploration project development space. So working with projects in Australia, Canada and the US. My real focus and what I'm doing is bringing sort of drive and energy to the company. Neil and the board set the strategy, and at the moment that is build up a resource base in uranium, and it's my job with the team to go and execute. We've recently brought Asha Rao onto the team. Asha is a seasoned uranium geologist. She's worked with Cameco, Boss Energy, a whole host of uranium-focused companies, both explorers, developers and producers, and she brings a wealth of knowledge for our uranium-focused exploration efforts. So from a global nuclear market and energy perspective, I won't dwell on this slide for too long. There's a lot of detail on here. Obviously, the presentation has been released on the market announcements platform with the ASX. I suppose, and one of the questions and discussions I've had quite a lot over the last few days is this issue around nuclear energy versus uranium mining. And I think it's a good point and definitely a good policy point to have a think about. And what I'd sort of suggest to everyone is try and disconnect these two issues. Okay, so, and as an example, Australia has been mining and exporting uranium for over 60 years. We are the 4th largest uranium producer in the world. The US, in contrast, is the largest consumer of uranium, but is a net importer. Mining uranium and selling it into a global market, from an Australian perspective, is very different to any aspirations the Australian government or state governments may have for nuclear energy. We don't need a growing nuclear energy sector in Australia for uranium to still have a very strong part to play in the global energy future. Now this next slide, and I'll dwell on this for a little bit. Why am I talking about the spot price? Typically, most commodities that are leveraged to a particular commodity, their share price will follow spot price movements. What we've seen, I suppose, through the course of this year, in the last 6 months, is a bottoming out and a real consolidation of the uranium spot price, currently sitting at around $70–75 a pound. Most analysts are predicting that over the next 6 to 9 months, due to a whole range of macro reasons, we are going to see some strong tailwinds pushing the uranium spot price back to around $100 a pound. What this means for us as an explorer that's leveraged to uranium, we get very strong tailwinds in terms of the uranium sector, helping to push us along and ride that growth as we continue to push our uranium exploration efforts. It's just a fantastic time for us to be putting and investing effort in exploration with these strong uranium tailwinds behind us. I'll now just go into our asset portfolio. Given this is a Queensland conference, I'm going to focus more on our Queensland projects, but I will just briefly touch on our NT projects. So again, a pretty busy slide by design. Just to highlight, as I said, we've got a number of projects scattered between the NT and Queensland, different commodities, different stages, gives us plenty of reasons to get up, push work forward and create a lot of activity and excitement around what we're doing. From an NT perspective, and if you caught the Petronas Resources presentation before morning tea, worth noting that our Douglas River project, I think, is pretty much adjacent to their Thunderball deposit in the Pine Creek region, a world-class district for uranium. There's been huge discoveries made and obviously an active place for uranium exploration, along with other commodities. We haven't been able to get on the ground in the NT yet. We're working through access matters at the moment, but we see great potential with Douglas River. The Henbury and Alkedra projects, again, even within the NT, we see different operating sort of parameters and requirements for the projects that are up near Darwin and those that are around Alice Springs. So we've flown aeroborne magnetics over all the projects, but we're able to follow up with first boots on the ground at the Henbury project only the last week. So that's the first time we've actually been able to get boots on the ground to ground truth some of the airborne magnetics that were flown over the last 6 to 9 months. I suppose we haven't come out and put anything out to the market yet, but what we saw from an initial mapping and sort of geological reconnaissance perspective is there's some great targets at Henbury that we want to go up and follow up. Follow up means going out, taking rock chip samples. We need to go through another permitting process to do that, and we've already started that work happening now for both Henbury and Alkedra. So I do expect that we'll be back out in the field in the NT probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Now looking at Oasis, so this is our flagship project, and as Kate mentioned at the start, where we've been actively drilling. We started the drill program in late July, ran all through August and finished around the 8th of September. A great first project for us, and it's the first time that Greenvale was actually drilled for uranium. So there are a number of environmental management and safety management protocols we have to step through. We smashed through those really quickly and got out and ran a really effective, safe program. We've released our first lot of results, so 2 weeks ago the assay results from the first drill hole came out, and yesterday the assay results from our second drill hole came out. And again, when we first came out with drill hole 1, we were really buoyed by the results. So I think it was 8 metres at about 750 ppm. We thought this is a really good first start. But then what we came and brought to market yesterday, so again another 8 metres at sort of over 2,000 ppm, that's a fantastic drill intercept. And one of the things that a few shareholders have asked me over the last couple of days is, what's a good uranium intercept? I'm not really sure. And I suppose just to put it into a bit of context, Cameco, which is the largest public uranium company in the world, they've got a project in Western Australia called Yeelirrie. Yeelirrie has a resource grade of about 1,500 ppm. So, tier 1 operator with assets globally, they want tier 1 assets. So anything over 1,500 ppm really is high-grade hit, high-grade intercept, and something that we're very excited about at Oasis. I think in terms of Oasis itself, there's probably another key thing that I'd like to highlight, and this is the infrastructure advantage that the project has. And what do I mean? Well, we fly into Townsville, we drive 3 hours to the Oasis project. It's sealed roads all the way. We pull up alongside the Oasis Roadhouse. That's where we've got accommodation, fuel, telecommunications, a camp kitchen, everything we need to actually run a project. That means that when we're committed to drilling out there, we don't have to spend any money on all of that infrastructure and services support. So at this stage of our life, it means that our exploration value for dollar spent is all into the ground. Again, an excellent thing for us to be able to create more value for shareholders by investing more in drilling rather than associated infrastructure that we don't need to spend money on. If we move forward to a possible future mining operation, again, key thing, sealed roads. The first resources project I ever worked on, we spent $80 million upgrading a public road. We don't need to do that. It's all there. We have a direct path to market straight to Townsville, obviously where there's a deep water port. hopefully this comes through and you can see it accurately. Again, this is just relates to the announcement that came out yesterday, so on our website if you want to have a look at it. Shows the program that we completed. It was 12 holes. The aim of our program was sort of threefold. One was to confirm some historical drilling. There's been about 4,000 metres of drilling at Oasis over the last 50 years, so we wanted to validate some of that historical data. We have successfully done that. What we also wanted to do was then test the limits of mineralisation laterally, both to the north and the south. We've done that, and at depth. The cross-section you can see shows holes 1, 2 and 3. Holes 1 and 2 have obviously been validated with geochemical results. Hole 3, the results up there are from a down-hole gamma probe, which gives us an equivalent U308 reading. So we know we've hit mineralisation in hole 3 and we're waiting for the results. But the Oasis story is more than just the Oasis deposit itself. And I think this is the bit that's really interesting and where we start to get really excited about the potential at Oasis. So the Oasis deposit, as you can see on the map, 4,000 metres of drilling historically. We've just completed almost another 2,000 metres, and we know there's something there, okay? And we're going to continue to chase that up along strike to the north and south and at depth and see how much of a resource base can we possibly build there. But within our tenement area, there's another swathe of radiometric and geochem anomalies that we've discovered from our early stage work in the last couple of months. But Oasis, the broader regional targets really give us an opportunity now to go right back to the beginning, right back to basics and grassroots exploration and apply those exploration techniques to those regional targets. Again, early stage, we don't have drill-ready targets yet, but that's going to be a big focus of us at the Oasis project, is really starting to build up high-quality targets for those regional areas. Now, the Alpha project, and we have a lot of shareholders that are invested in Greenvale because of the Alpha project, and I've probably been remiss over the last couple of months with my focus on pushing exploration and getting people in the field that I haven't spoken as much or presented as much information on Alpha. Rest assured, there is a lot of work that's happening in the background with the Alpha project. We are at the development phase at the moment. We're going through a series of test work programs. It's very slow work, but it's very, very important work. I do get asked by shareholders quite a lot, when are you going to be finished? Are you going to be finished by the end of the year? Personally and honestly, I'm not rushing to finish a program. What I want to do is make sure we deliver the program and achieve its aims. If that takes a little bit longer and ensures that we get the grade material we need, then that is what is most important for me, not finishing by the end of the year because it's an arbitrary date. So I would love to talk to anyone about Alpha after this session. Please come and speak to us, but rest assured, the Alpha project has potential significant value for this company, and if you've tracked it over the last few years and you see the valuations the company has had, that was based on Alpha. We've got the project, it's been with us for a while, we're doing a lot of work in the background, and I'm really excited to see where we can take it. One of the things we are starting to do, which is probably a slight change from previous management, is we are openly engaging with strategic partners for Alpha. We're talking to a bunch of bitumen users, importers, energy companies that have a part to play in the processing of this kind of material, and we're basically saying we are open for business. We want to partner and collaborate and unlock the value in Alpha. So in terms of value creation catalysts, and noting that I'm running out of time, we've done a lot over the last 4 months. Actually, we've done a lot over this year, starting with the acquisition of Oasis, and really over the last 4 to 5 months, pushing with getting boots on the ground and advancing our uranium exploration projects. As I mentioned, a lot happening with Alpha in the background, busy and important work that it just doesn't create a lot of news flow. Again, that's why we go back to, from an exploration point of view, leveraging to uranium and pushing that work front, keeping everything else happening in the background. Looking forward, we want to get back out into Oasis in short order. We've got approval to conduct a trenching program. We'll do some ground-based magnetics just to really track the structure. That's really important at Oasis for us to understand where the shear zone is heading. And we, as I said, we expect to get back out in the field in the NT and keep working through some of these strategic options with the Alpha project. Look forward to keeping everyone informed as we move forward. Thank you very much.